dive into these 8 steps to help you overcome overwhelm. So the first step is this. If you're feeling overwhelmed, I want you to focus on changing the story that is in your mind. What do I mean by that? Well, let's go into it. Think about it. When you're overwhelmed, you're focusing on the things that are making you feel overwhelmed. And you're creating a story about that. So, oh, I'm feeling overwhelmed because I've got so much to do at work. I'm feeling overwhelmed about my relationship. I'm feeling overwhelmed because of my to-do list. I'm feeling overwhelmed because of my children. And what you're actually doing is placing the overwhelms, blame on external things, things without of you. Okay. You're blaming the work, the relationship, the to-do list. You're saying that those things are overwhelming. Sorry. I'm overwhelmed because of work. I'm overwhelmed because of everything that's going on in my life right now. But what I want to remind you of is that's a story you're creating in your mind. Okay. You're not overwhelmed because of any of those things. You're overwhelmed because of how you're interpreting those things, the meaning that you're giving to those things. In other words, not the thing itself, that's not overwhelming, the way you think about that thing. In other words, what we're trying to focus on here is rather than passing the blame to all the external things, because if we pass the blame, we pass the power. Who remembers that quote? If you pass the blame, you pass the power. The power now lies within all those external things. So what I'm saying is the first step is take back the power, take back the control. If you stop labeling those things as being overwhelming and instead decide the way I'm interpreting it, the meaning I'm adding to it is overwhelming, you can then say, oh, I'm actually creating this, and therefore I can actually change it. And a great way to help shift that perspective, again, this is something we covered on the course over the weekend on Bulletproof Factor, is playing the I don't have to, I get to game. So rather than looking at everything you got to do at work or everything that's going on maybe in your relationship or your children or your home life, for each one of those things, you are not being forced to do any of it. And by just changing that perspective from, oh, I have to do this, I've got to do this, I'm overwhelmed. It's a simple but super effective mindset hack. We just flip it and we go, actually, I get to do it. I get to go to work. I get to look after the children. I get to clean the house. How lucky I am to be able to go out and make money, to be able to provide for my family. How lucky I am to have a home that I get to clean. And just immediately by that simple little shift, immediately you got a bit more gratitude. You're going to feel a little bit differently and you're going to reduce a little bit of overwhelm. Now, there's another point with this that I want to add that really could have been a point of its own, but I'm going to add this as part of changing the story in your mind. I would say you need to redefine what success is, because this has been a huge thing that has helped me when it comes to overwhelm. Because when you start to realize that being successful is not just getting loads of stuff done, it's not just ticking boxes, being the busiest person ever, you can start to appreciate, it doesn't matter so much, all this stuff. It's not the end of the world if I don't get everything done. It's not the end of the world if I don't achieve these external wins, these external goals. They're nice to have, maybe. They're maybe something I'm passionate about. But for example, the question that I ask everybody that ever comes on the Success School podcast, I always ask, what's your definition of success? And through interviewing many, many different people, it's really helped me reflect on my own definition. And for me, the definition of success personally is feeling fulfilled and being at peace with who I am, warts and all, okay? Being fulfilled, feeling fulfillment, and I can get fulfilled and I can feel fulfilled, for many, many different things. But if something isn't meaningful and it isn't bringing me fulfillment, it's not a big deal. So just by realigning with what success actually is and making sure that that's the priority, I want to live a happy, healthy, successful life, immediately it can change the narrative, the story in your mind, okay? So that's the first step. Then we're going to move on to the second step. Now, I feel like this is a little bit more to do with if it's really going into more anxiety, like I'm feeling really, really anxious right now. I can't think straight. Here's my advice for you. Stop trying to fight the emotion. Again, give me some love hearts in the chat if you ever find that when you feel a certain negative feeling, a negative emotion, what we tend to do is we try and fight it, we try and suppress it, we try and hold it down. And all we actually end up doing a lot of the time is we have this initial negative emotion, which is totally natural, totally normal. You are a human being, you are a feeling being. And then we add on further negative emotions like frustration, anger, upset. So rather than just feeling overwhelmed, we've now attached all these other negative emotions. And I always love this analogy of imagine you're on a beach, okay? Go with it. Go with this, folks. But imagine you're on a beach and you've got a beach ball in your hands. And in that beach ball are all those negative emotions. So in there's the overwhelm. In there's the fear. There's the frustration. There's the anger. All in this beach ball. And you want to get rid of all these horrible negative feelings in this ball. So you run out into the sea and you think, I'm going to get rid of all this anger, frustration, this overwhelm, this fear, this doubt. And you go and push that ball underneath the water. We all know that by pushing that ball down with force, it's not going away. It's going to amplify the energy and the force of the ball. It's going to go poof. It's going to fly up back in your face, right? So this is what I'm trying to say. Imagine if you just accept and embrace them for a moment. Imagine if you just take that beach ball and you just place it on the sea and you just allow it to just simmer, to just move with the waves. It's going to help you alleviate a lot of that negative energy. And this is what we try and do. We feel a negative emotion. We then attach more negative emotions. And then when we've attached all these negative emotions to the initial negative emotion, we then try and fight them. And all we're doing is giving more weight to the negativity. We're giving more energy to the negativity. Now, one thing that really helped me when I was going through a really challenging time in my life quite a lot of years ago, and this might be useful, all right? Bear with it. You might think it's a little bit mad initially. But in order to accept and embrace the emotion and therefore not fight the emotion and give it more energy, give it more weight, what happens if you actually talk to the emotion, right? And you can apply this to a few negative emotions. But imagine you feel it, whether you feel it in your gut, in your stomach, in your chest, wherever you really feel that emotion, it comes over you and you feel that wave. And you just take a breath and you literally chat to the emotion like it's a person. It's not a part of you. It's somebody else. And you speak to it. And this is what I actually did. I can remember going through a really challenging time and feeling a lot of negative emotions. And I would literally, and I'd sometimes say it out loud, I would literally just go, all right, Overwhelm. Here you are again, you bastard. Come on in. Let's have a chat then. What do you want? Let's make you a brew. And I would literally, and I could feel it here, this feeling of anxiety and overwhelm. And I would talk to it. And what I would often do is I would just remind myself, you ain't staying. You've come before. You'll stay for a bit and you'll go again. You always leave in the end. Okay. So rather than having a slanging match and shouting and fighting with you at the door, and this being like 2 hours of me and you having a fight, I'm going to make you a brew. I'm going to make you a cup of coffee, cup of tea. We can have a chat. You can stay here for a bit and then you can bugger off again, you bastard. And talking to the emotion like that, right? First and foremost, it enables you to embrace it and accept it and stop all the negative emotion of like fighting it. But the second thing, and this is the important bit, it does what we call break your emotional state. You break state. So when I'm going and I'm sat in my bedroom, I remember it so clearly. One of the first times I did this, I'm sat in my bedroom and I'm feeling really anxious, really overwhelmed, really emotional. And then I suddenly go, right, you bastard. come on in. What are you having to drink? I know you're going to leave again. I know you're not going to stay for long. You've been before and you'll go again. So just let's get this over with. When I did that, I actually burst out laughing on my own in my room. But what am I doing in that moment? I'm emotionally experiencing a new emotion. I've got humor. I'm finding it funny. So, hey, maybe I looked a little bit crazy. Fine, but it absolutely helped. And that would be my second tip is the worst thing or one of the worst things I think we can do is try and fight the emotion. Instead, we embrace it, we accept it, we remember that it won't last forever, it won't stay forever. And the best ways to kind of break state and change our emotional state is just very simple. Chat to that emotion, let it in, let it go again. Okay, so step number 3. Now, this is again a huge part of my teaching when it comes to goal setting in general. Some of you will have heard me, especially everybody on the Bulletproof Actor course that are here with us live on Facebook. Will remember we spoke about these 2 different schools of thought. Elon Musk saying, get your decade plan done in 6 months. Tony Robbins more saying, people underestimate what they can do in a decade and overestimate what they can do in a year. And that's what creates a lot of overwhelm. This idea that the loads I can do in a year, I'm going to go, 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 go. Sounds great in theory. In reality, what I've seen time and time again, it just creates overwhelm. It creates burnout. It creates exhaustion. And people go from the all in to the all out mentality. So the third step, I'm going to kind of cover this one quite briefly because everybody I coach and everybody that's been following my content for a while will know this is something I bang on about a lot, but it's super important. If you're feeling and experiencing overwhelm on a regular basis, check what's the expectations you're putting on yourself and is it realistic? My approach to goal setting is to do less better, a higher quality, a higher standard of less things. So I say to people generally now, you want to set 2 to 3 big quality ambitious goals a year and focus on quality over quantity. But here's the trick, not the trick. Here's the ironic thing that's amazing about it is if you focus on quality and you remain consistent on that, in the long run, due to like the compound effect, it eventually leads to more quantity anyway. Right? That's the compound effect. Doing something very, very well, naturally, people are going like, wow, I respect you for that. Then you create word of mouth. Then more people get to know about what you're doing. And naturally, more opportunities can come off the back of it. Equally, if you're building a business and you grow a business correctly and you don't try and grow too quickly, you build it the right way, it becomes more sustainable. If it's more sustainable, you can scale it. It can become more profitable, which means you can outsource some of the work. More people can work for you. And guess what? Now you've freed up time to be able to do other things. So this is the thing. If you're like I was, which is super ambitious and you want to do everything, my advice to you is naturally that's going to lead you going round and round in circles, just trying to do everything, getting overwhelmed, getting burnt out, and then doing very little. And what happens is you stop, you start, you stop, you start, you stop, you start, you stop. If you want to break that pattern, focus on doing less, but to a higher standard and doing better quality, and then build on that year on year on year. What that's going to mean is naturally you haven't got as many things occupying your mind. Naturally, you're a lot clearer on what to say yes to, what to say no to. And generally, that's going to lead to way less overwhelm. The fourth step follows on from that perfectly, which is about not having to-do lists, starting with a to-do list and then breaking it down into a schedule. This, for me, I think I first started doing it 7 or 8 years ago. It was an absolute game changer. And I literally do it pretty much every single day now. So remember, this is about being really time specific with everything, making sure that you know what you're doing hour to hour. But I want to add something to this idea. Scheduling is a game changer to help you be more present in the moment, to help you be clearer about what it is that you want to be doing. Again, it's something I speak about over and over again because I believe in it so much. But I also want to say this. Make sure when you prioritize that schedule, be really clear. Be really clear every day. What are the 2 to 3 most important things on that schedule today? You might have 10 things on that schedule. You might have 20. But I want you to be really clear in your own mind when you look at that. What are the 2 to 3 most important things on that schedule? Not just the easiest things, not just the fun things, the most important. Because when you can hone in your focus on that and you can move your schedule to get those most important things done as early as possible, then when inevitably life happens and it doesn't go to plan and it's not perfect, you get that phone call, you get that curveball, something crops up, rather than thinking, oh, but I've set this perfect schedule and Matt told me, like, stick to your schedule, it's so important. Rather than getting overwhelmed, instead you can go, let me just come back to the 2 to 3 most important things. I ain't gonna have time to do everything today like I wanted to. There is no such thing as perfection, and that's okay. But as long as I can do the 2 to 3 most important things, that's a good day. And if you get the most 2 to 3 important things done on a regular basis, that's going to add up to one hell of a year. Okay. So again, sometimes it's about thinking of the bigger picture and not being so stressed out about the here and now. Especially, again, shout out to everybody that's joining me from the Bulletproof Actor course community. You know, there's so much we've covered over the weekend, and there can be that feeling inside of, I just want to do it all. There's so much. Where do I start? How do I find the hours? How do I find the time? Slow it down. Slow it down. You've got the rest of your life to figure this shit out. Let's just go one foot in front of the other, one step at a time. Focus on what's most important first, and let's just be present and get that done. Okay. Number 5, set and communicate clear boundaries. This is absolutely huge. For me, one of the biggest reasons so many people get overwhelmed is because they say yes to way too much from fear of letting other people down, fear of disappointing others. Type a 1 in the chat right now. I'm just going to have a look. Type a 1 in the chat if you feel you do that from time to time. You say yes to too much. You be overly ambitious and think, oh, I'll work it out. I can get it done. And one of the biggest reasons is you don't want to let other people down. I know that this is something that I've had it with family members, clients, and then they just end up trying to give too much to other people. I can see, hey, Zoe Jessica says 1, Joanna says 1, Love Day says 1 in the comments, Julie Frost says 1, Lucy Moon says 1. Thank you for sharing that. We got, is that four ones or 5 ones from Inez? So that must be a regular thing for you. Katie says 1, Callum says 1, Olivia says 1. Okay. Imogen says 1. Again, this is super, super common. So this is what I urge you to do right now. Get clearer on your personal boundaries. Get clearer on where the line is, okay? Because if it's not clear to you, it's very easy to overstep that line. And I'll just give you a personal example, right? For me, something that come to mind straight away is I know that nobody that knows me ever will phone me. They'll never ring me, right? Because they know one of my pet hates, as somebody who's super focused on being the best I can be, that schedules things in, that's trying to be a peak performer, and be as productive as possible. I hate people demanding my time just when it suits them. People will not ring me that know me, just randomly go, oh, hi, Matt, just wondering, can I pick your brain? Let's have a chat. Doesn't happen because I set that boundary. If you want my time, you message me, drop me a voice note, drop me a message, an email, a DM, whatever. And I will respond to you when I choose to, when it's suitable for me. Okay. I've said this to everybody. I say, if it's an absolute emergency, ring me. But that's it. That's the only time. If this is life or death, a serious emergency, then you can ring me. Anything else, you message me and I will decide when I respond to you. That's a boundary that I've put in place. That's an expectation. Because if not, I'm going through my schedule. I'm trying to be the best I can be for other people. I'm trying to, tick the things off my list. And someone just rings me, and before I know it, 45 minutes has gone by with this chat. Or I'm doing a Facebook Live, someone starts ringing me. I've lost the live, it's gone. It's taken my attention, my focus. It's ruined what I was doing, for example. So that's a boundary that I've made very, very clear. That's something I've set. Something else is nobody I know close to me, especially not my clients, leaves me voice notes, just brain dumping their thoughts. Let me know in the chat. Have you got friends and family members that literally just waffle on, and sometimes they're 8-minute voice notes? Just literally, oh, hi, babe. Just would you know how you getting on? I'm just getting on my way to get my hair done. And what's that? Oh, there's something in the street. Don't know what that was. I think it was a can that just rolled past me. I don't know what. I'm like, whoa, why are you just narrating your day to me? Like, I'm trying to be focused here. So for me, nobody does that to me. I say to most people I work with, 60 seconds maximum. That's the voice note. I want you to be concise. I want you to be to the point. I want you to get to the point as quickly and as efficiently as possible. That's a boundary that I've set. I can see people are relating to that. Pammy G says that's my mum. I mean, you can let your mum off maybe. But this is the thing. It's about, you don't have to copy me, but it's about recognizing what will you accept and what won't you. What will you say yes to? What will you say no to? And remember that phrase that I say all the time, in order to be the best for others, in order to truly be selfless, you got to be selfish. Because if you're frustrated, if you're overwhelmed, if you're feeling anxious, you can't show up as the best version of yourself. And therefore, you can't be the best for others. So always remember, it's not actually selfish to be selfish, because you can't be selfless without being selfish. Does this make sense? Okay. So that is the fifth step, is first and foremost, set clear boundaries. And second of all, communicate those clear boundaries. I can see, hi, is it Maya? It says, oh my God, yes, need to set my boundaries. Absolutely, 100%. This is such an important one. Okay, the sixth one, and this helps me so much every single day, take regular short breaks and move. This is huge. Now, especially, there's a client on here at the moment who I've worked with one-to-one for a long time. I'm not sure if he's still here or not, but I just had a little moment where I remembered you going through something extremely challenging in your business. And it was like, oh, wow, what do I do? I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling stressed out. I need to solve it. I don't know what the solution is. And what I said to this client is, leave the office, get out, go for a walk for at least, I think I said 20 minutes. Just go and walk, put some positive music on, or a positive podcast, something like that, audiobook, or even just listen to the birds and be at peace with nature. Go for a walk, move your body, and just gather your thoughts. It might sound counterproductive, when there's a lot going on and you're feeling overwhelmed, right? Rather than tackling everything, you're like, I'm overwhelmed. I've got loads to do. There's loads of stress. Where do I start? Rather than tackling it, me telling him to just leave and not do any of it. I get how initially it might sound counterproductive, but what that's doing is getting you to change your emotional state. You're moving your body, which means you're releasing endorphins. If you're outside, you're getting fresh air. So you're going to change how you feel, which is going to affect how you think. And now you're going to be able to come back and for just that 15, 20 minutes, that might be the difference. That means you can now handle and tackle those tasks rather than sitting there for 3-4 hours, just going around in circles, feeling overwhelmed. So get up, get out, and move your body. Something else you could do is meditation. Can be really powerful for changing your state, changing your thoughts, or just breath work in general, just breathing. But step number 6 is regularly take short breaks. If you find yourself getting overwhelmed on a regular basis and quite easily, when you're scheduling your days, which is one of the earlier points, my advice would be scheduling even just 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes, whatever works for you, but regular breaks. Get up, get out, move your body, breath work, meditation, go for a walk, small workout, whatever it is for you, something where you can then change your state, come back to it feeling slightly different, and then you could be in a more productive, positive frame of mind to be able to tackle what it is you need to do. Okay, number 7. This is a really, really important one. Remove the distractions that just bring new ideas, new thoughts into your mind. that then create overwhelm. Because that's what we've got to think about with overwhelm. Overwhelm ultimately is having a lot of different thoughts in our mind, which is why scheduling your days is great, because you brain dump it first, you take it out of the mind, you put it onto paper, and then you basically put it all into its place so that you can see it clearly, you can tackle it better, you can be more present with each one, and that's just going to help relieve overwhelm. So that's ultimately what we're talking about with overwhelm. There's a lot going on in your brain, and you need a bit less in there. But when we've got distractions, which we all know we've got with Facebooks, Twitters, WhatsApps, with television, so on and so forth, other people, it can be really easy to get super overwhelmed when you're trying to focus. Okay. So all the different things you can do when it comes to your mobile phone, i.e., the notifications and all your phone settings, even when you're trying to do focus work, take the phone out of the room. So it's not even like, put it on charge in a different room, because just the trigger alone of seeing it means it's occupying your mind. Even if it's just a small amount, that's a little bit more going on in here that can then add up to produce more overwhelm. And one thing that I learned is this idea of multitasking is a complete illusion. Okay. Multitasking doesn't exist. So if you're, typing some email, listening to a podcast, you've also got your phone there, and you're trying to do all these different things at once because you're a great multitasker. Well, I hate to break it to you, but you're not a great multitasker, because in actual reality, multitasking doesn't exist. We can only cognitively think about one thing at any given moment, okay? We all it is we just switch from one thing to the next very, very, very fast. But in terms of what we can actually do, we only ever can focus on one thing at a time. And every time we switch our focus from one thing to another, the problem is that there's a lag time from adapting from that focus to the next focus. And the data shows that we lose up to, I believe, up to 40% of productivity when we switch our focus. It takes us on average around 20 to 23 minutes before we can then re-engage with that same level of focus every time we've switched to think about something else. Okay? So this is really, really important, even just as simple as not having the phone in the room, because just having it there is occupying your brain. If it then flashes, you're thinking, oh, I know, what is that? Oh, it's a text. What does the text say? You've totally shifted your focus onto something irrelevant to what you was doing. There was something, I think it was Harvard, I believe, found a study that we apparently engage, on average, we engage in mind wandering around an average of 46.9% of the day. So rather than being focused present on what we're doing, basically we're doing one thing, but we're thinking about something else. So it might be thinking about something that's happened in the past, something that might happen in the future. We're not focusing on the present. And we know, to help us reduce overwhelm, being present is really useful. Also, just to have a happier life, studies show the people who spend more of their life being present live happier lives. Okay. So, what this is about is, first and foremost, being aware of that and consciously focusing on being as present as you can. If you're listening to this video now, really try and take in what I'm saying and be present in this moment. But the second part of that is set up your life, your phone, your environment to have the least amount of distractions as possible, because all of those things have the potential to just add things into your brain, which then leads you to more overwhelm, or it certainly can, should I say. Okay, and the eighth step to helping you overcome overwhelm is to get help. If you are regularly feeling overwhelmed, please get help. It might be that you just need people to help you with some of the stuff you've got going on, like friends or family. It might be that you can put it out on social media. Is there anybody that's got this or this? If you're looking for something and you're overwhelmed trying to search it, can anybody help me? Or it might be paying for therapy or counseling, saying, listen, I really, really am struggling with overwhelm. It might be speaking to a doctor. This is occurring more and more and more, and I don't seem to be able to control it alone. I don't seem to be getting the support I need. I'd like to speak to a professional. I'd like to speak to a doctor. I'd like to speak to a counselor. Of course, what I do, coaching, get a coach. Speak to a coach. I'm all about helping people get strategy, looking at what you want out of life, looking at, okay, what's important, what's not important, what's the priority, and now let's create a plan. Let's move forward. And then I'll hold you accountable to that plan. So you've got support, you've got encouragement. But the eighth step is, I'm not telling you to work with me as a coach. I'm not telling you to go to the doctor, counselor, friend, family. What I am saying is certainly consider how you can get help. Again, everybody will get it in different ways. So they're the 8 steps. Here's the recap. So the first one is to change the story that you're playing in your mind. You're not overwhelmed because of the work of your to-do list, of the family, of your friends, and so on. You're not overwhelmed because of them. You're overwhelmed because of the story you're playing. You're overwhelmed because of what you think about those things. Make that shift. And remember what I said about defining what success means to you can help you change your perspective. Number 2 was embrace the emotion. Don't fight the emotion. That's where I said about the beach ball, about not pushing it under the water. Place it on the water and just allow it to be. Talk to the emotion if that helps. Have a laugh with it. And then remember, emotions always come and go. So important. No emotion ever stays. If you are a human being, think about this. I'm going to get all passionate on you for a minute. If you are a human being, you cannot experience life without experiencing a variety of emotions: anger, sadness, happiness, joy, frustration, fear, overwhelm. They're all feelings, and we are feeling beings. Okay, so remember that you will feel every emotion consistently for the rest of your life. It's perfectly normal. It's part of being a human being. There's nothing wrong with you. By understanding that, embracing the emotions, accepting the emotions, you allow the negative emotions to go much quicker than trying to fight them or trying to think there's something wrong with you and then applying more, attaching more negative emotions. Third one, big one, do less better. Stop trying to do your 10-year plan in 6 months. Have less goals, but more quality goals. Fourth, don't just have a to-do list. Brain dump everything and then schedule clearly that to-do list. Fifth, setting and importantly, communicating clear boundaries. 6, take regular breaks and move your body. And you might want to consider meditation, breath work, things like that. 7, remove distractions both online and in the physical world in your environment. And 8, ask for help. If you're feeling overwhelmed, can somebody help you with some of these tasks? Or maybe you can speak to a counselor, a therapist if you regularly struggle with it, or maybe a doctor, or maybe indeed hire a coach that can work through your goals with you, support you in achieving those goals, and remove some of that overwhelm by giving you a little bit more clarity. All right. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you being here as always. Please do me a favor. I know I say this every single time. My mission here at Success School is to help as many people live happier, healthier, more successful, and more fulfilling lives. But I cannot do that on my own as just one guy. It's very difficult. So it would mean the world to me, please, if you could right now, if you're watching this live or on the replay, please hit that share button. If you could go one better and put a little comment as to why you think people should watch the video, like what's the reason to click play, that would be amazing. It would mean the world to me if you can help me to then help other people start to help themselves. Please do share it. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Just want to let people know, as always, about the Success School membership. If you are not already a member of Success School, I know a few of you here are. Sarah is, Nicola is, Sean is, and so on. Just want to say it's still free at the moment to join Success School on a 2-week trial. So you get 14 days with us for free. That will give you access to over 50 training videos that I've done, all on mindset and also starting up a side hustle and a business. It will also give you an access to the last 2 years worth now of live Zoom calls that we've done. And you'll also get an invite to the upcoming Zoom calls. So for those who don't know, I do a group coaching session every single month on Zoom as part of your membership. But in addition to that, I also bring on guest speakers, experts in different fields. But at the moment, it is still free to join us for 2 weeks. And then after that, if you want to stay a member, it becomes just £19 per month. That is less than £5 per week, investing in yourself, joining us in the WhatsApp group, being on my group coaching calls every month, and also joining our guest speakers and being able to ask questions to the experts. Anybody that wants to sign up and start your free trial today, click that link. Thanks, Sarah Carter. Sarah says, totally recommend joining Success School. You're an absolute star. Yeah, hit that link. It will ask for your bank details. That is just so you can set up a proper account, but it won't take any payment until you've had your 14 days with us free, and it will only take payment if you stay a member. You are more than welcome to cancel if you think it's a load of rubbish and there's no value to be had. But as I say, after the 14-day trial, it becomes £19 per month on an ongoing subscription that you can cancel anytime. It's there for you. I've tried to make it as accessible, as affordable, and as results driven as possible. It is there for you if you want it. Thank you, everybody, for being here once again. Lots of love. See you all soon. Take care.